Hi, this is Joe Wood, and I am doing a quick presentation for my Fort Hays State Transition to Teaching course. And the presentation deals with a PLT fix-up strategy. The strategy that I selected for my presentation is the partner retell. Um, and this is one of the examples that came from our reading, and it basically is students are grouped up in their or given a reading assignment based on whatever the class, the course, so a reading assignment. Students are then paired off. One student is essentially given the role of the role teller, and the other is given the role of the listener. And so after the reading's completed, the reteller recounts the main idea to the listener. So the students are given a period of time for the reteller to talk to the listener. The listener is allowed to have comments or ask questions, things like that. So, um, you know, 2 to 3 minutes kind of depends on your reading and the level um, that you're at in grade level. Teacher is going to turn around and then use the teacher you reinforce what the main idea is, so that way it helps either get students that were off track on track, or helps reinforce their confidence that they're on the right track. Then you let them go back into their pairs. The reteller continues and pulls out two key details that from the reading that help support the main idea, and they share that with the listener. And then at the conclusion, after that's done, the teacher does a spot check, randomly calling on students that were in the listener role to basically give a recap of the information that was shared to them. For me, I like to kind of be silly and kind of have fun in my class, and so when I do stuff like this, sometimes I'll do break it up with different ways. And so, like, I like the Pout Pout Fish book, um, and I obviously don't have enough Pout Pout Fish books, so I would probably have to improvise, and I might even just show a video and be like, okay, so this would be an example of the reading. We'd watch because there's a Pout Pout Fish book play along song. It's kind of funny, but I would have the students. We would engage in that some way, and then I would just go through the following steps, And so for the partner retell, it would provide the content, and then students would be paired. I like to have my students get up after they got through reading. I would probably have them do some kind of game where they have to get themselves in order by their birth date or by their birth month, or you know some random rock paper scissors challenge or whatever it might be, to get them to pair up, get some up, get some moving, especially after doing some reading. And then once they got into their partners, I would have them flip a coin, or whatever it might be, rock paper scissors. I might have them both have to guess a number, and they have to tell the number to the other person, and then I would know the number between 1 and 10, or whoever's the closest gets to be the reteller, something along those lines. And then I would basically just follow through the same scenario, right? And so I would have the retailer, all right, have a short, discussion with your listener about what the main idea behind the Pout Pout Fish book is. And then the listener could have any comments or questions. And then I would remind them that the Pout Pout Fish was, basically a mentality, and can kind of touch on some social emotional skills as well. So you can kind of integrate that into your example. And then the retailer would then turn around and identify a couple key points from the story that support the ending story, that a Pout Pout Fish doesn't have to have a Pout Pout attitude, and how maybe some examples. I might have the students, examples from a high schooler standpoint or something like that. Um, of why that might be. Some things that we kind of self-identify sometimes, that where we kind of channel ourselves in the wrong direction. That might be a little off topic, because I might integrate this into a social emotional thing that I'm adding into the classroom, into my example, as I teach kids this skill, and then we would use it and implement it in more business content specific areas. And so then I would ask the kids, and maybe as I ask them, I might get them to elaborate a little bit, on how this might be applicable to high school kids, which isn't really applicable to this assignment, but that's probably what I would do in real life. So strategy, summary for this, the strategy is really easy to implement. You can kind of do it on the fly. You just have to have that, I guess have that in your mental plan for the class, or in your instructional plan. And then the strategy is really helpful, I think, for, especially if you have a class full of students that struggle to stay on task. Sometimes getting them this more interactive way they're being accountable by their partner. I think it's a fun activity. It kind of breaks up reading a little bit, spices up the classroom experience, and it increases their overall engagement and just creates that more interactive reading experience for students that really helps them to stay engaged. So, and that's the end of my little short presentation. Thank you and have a great day.